Mayor of the City of Fruit Heights. We are meeting here with an anchor location at 910 South Mountain Road, Fruit Heights City, Utah 84037. We are going to start a few minutes late, sorry, 7:04. We're going to start with a pledge of allegiance, which is going to be led by Eileen Ross, and a opening ceremony by George Ray.
Please rise. Repeat the pledge of allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear God that is in each of us, we pause at this moment to express gratitude for the wonderful blessings that we have in our lives. We're express gratitude for the wonderful country that we have, the wonderful world that we live in, and most especially the wonderful city that we have here. We're most grateful for our friends and our neighbors that we get to live amongst. We pray that this evening that we can celebrate the youth city council and for the opportunity for them to learn and grow and to serve and to understand their civic duties. We pray that the council together may discuss the things that are before us this evening and to contemplate our neighbors and the things that are important to each of us. Again, we're grateful for the opportunity to work together, and we say these things in the name of Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Moving on to item number 1.2, roll call.
Okay, Councilmember Diane Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Gary Anderson is excused. Councilmember Eileen Moss.
Here.
Councilmember George Ray.
Here.
Councilmember Florence Sadler.
Here.
Mayor John Holt.
Here. Thank you. Item number 1.3 is a city council training. We put 3 minutes on all of our agendas every city council meeting for the city council members to train on our responsibilities as an elected official. Tonight's training was set aside for Gary, who could not make it tonight, so we're going to forego the city council training tonight.
have a thought, Mayor, if we could.
You have a thought? Great, go for it.
I just, in view of having our youth city council here, I just want to remind us of how powerful that is. And one quote about that is, the power of youth is the commonwealth for the entire world. The faces of young people are the faces of our past, our present, and our future. No segment in the society can match with the power, idealism, enthusiasm, and courage of young people. The youth is the hope of our future. And we're just so proud that so many of our young people will participate in government because they are the hope of our future. And we are so proud of you, and thank you for your willingness to serve.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Moving on to item number 3, which is declaration of conflict of interest. Do we have any that we need to discuss this time? Not seeing or hearing any. We're going to move on to item number 4.1, which is a special presentation. Tonight we have Chief Love from the Farmington Fire Department here, who's going to just give us a quick briefing on, come on up, yep, on how things have gone the last few months with our contract fire services.
Thank you, Mayor, and it's a privilege to be here. You'll have to excuse me a little bit. I had a tooth worked on today, so I missed But Farmington Fire is really excited and dedicated to Fruit Heights City. We love being able to be up here and interact with your citizens and respond to any needs that you might have. So we really appreciate that opportunity. I wasn't sure what the council and mayor was expecting, so I just put some figures together. Farmington Fire started a paramedic program in July of 22, which affects you all. We now run paramedics with our ambulance, and it's appropriate. We've increased our staffing since we contracted with you. We're now 7-handed, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Part of what we agreed to do with your city was to have 2 people on for 12 hours a day that are more or less dedicated to Fruit Heights. We discovered early on in conversations with your previous city manager that your calls don't all happen between 7 in the morning and 7 at night. And so what we did is we put one person on staff 24 hours a day to help us cover your city. That's worked very well for us, and I think it has for you guys as well. In between July of 2022 and this July, we ran 231 calls into your city. 80% of those are medicals, the other 20% are fire calls, which includes alarms and things like that, steel detectors, that kind of stuff. Our average in route time is 56 seconds. And our average arrival time in your city is a little over 5 minutes. It takes us about 4.5 minutes to get from our station to most parts of your city. So, some other big exciting news for our department is we've got a new ambulance that's going to be delivered in November. We're excited about that, and we're also in the process of building a new fire station. So our new fire station is going to be just off of Park Lane, kind of on the west of Station Park. That will allow us to access this area maybe a little bit quicker than where we're coming from now. And what the city has committed to is that once we get that new station built, they're going to do a remodel of our old station. And then once they have accomplished that, then we are going to increase our staffing to 11 people being on staff 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That would be 10 full-time people per shift plus 1 part-time person. They estimate the completion of our new building to be in the spring of 2025. So we're over a year away, but it takes a while to build. We have tremendous support from our council, our mayor, from Fruit Heights City. It's really helped a lot in us being able to accomplish some of these milestones that we've been working towards. What else did we want to go over here? We have what we call hazard staffing that we've done over the holidays when we have fireworks going off and those kinds of things. Some of you might have noticed some of our apparatus driving around in your city. We staffed 2 people in Fruit Heights, either in a brush truck or an engine, during the 4th of July holiday, on the 2nd and 3rd, from 6 p.m. to midnight, and on the 4th and the 5th. And then we also did the same thing on the 24th of July. We had people up here starting on the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 25th. You're an interface city, which means that fires on the hill can spread into town. That's a big concern for us. Farmington's the same thing. We're an interface city as well. And that's one of our biggest concerns with your area, is something that we could start with and move down into the city. The winds that we get out of the east in the evenings and that kind of stuff. We also have on staff a part-time fire marshal and a part-time fire inspector. And they have been working with some of your developers and some of the businesses in your city. We've been in the process of exchanging what we call Knox boxes. You guys are probably aware of what those are. That gives us the key to any of your commercial buildings in town. And previous department, their Knox boxes were what you had. We've been changing them out so that our keepers. We did notice that there were a few of your commercial buildings that didn't have any Knox access at all. So what that does is that helps us to enter buildings and stuff if nobody's there. We hate to tear stuff apart. We've got a key to everything, but sometimes we do damage if we didn't have those Knox. So if there's anything at all that any of you need from the fire department, or any of you that want to come down and take a tour of our station or line up preschool tours or anything like that, feel free to call our office. Between the hours of 7 and 3:30, we have an administrative assistant that works full time from 7 until 3:30, and she's scheduled again. So, those are the city council, mayor,
Great.
and anybody that's here. So,
Just one quick question. Do we have any concerns or any issues with the 4th or the 24th?
no, not really.
Good.
People were good. No, it seemed like most people were, not setting on fireworks where they weren't supposed to.
Great.
I had the opportunity to stop here, doing some around the building here, but it's in your area where you can.
Yeah.
And, everyone here, everyone in the city that we've responded to has been amazing, good people. We've enjoyed serving your city, and we feel privileged that we have the opportunity to do that. So
Thank you.
thank you guys for the opportunity. Any questions?
I want to reiterate one thing, since we have the YCC in the room. You heard his invitation. He has given this many times to me, that if you want to set up a tour, and his tours are really cool, of the facility, that you might want to get in touch with him as a youth city council and go and see the facility they have.
Yeah, you're welcome. We enjoy giving tours. We kind of got out of the tour business during COVID. But we're available and ready to, come take a tour. One thing I wanted to touch on a little bit, you might occasionally see apparatus from other agencies coming into your city, from Kaysville and Layton. That happens when we become overwhelmed. There are times when we'll get 3 calls in a row, and we don't have the manpower to staff everything that comes when that happens like that. And so we have mutual aid agreements with Kaysville, South Davis, and Layton. And so there might be times when we're already busy running calls, Kaysville or Layton. So, you see that, that's why. Like right now, we've got a wreck on Park Lane, a heart attack down at BU, and her back in the south one, all right now. So if you got a call from Heights right now, you probably got a sense.
Great. Thank you so much, Chief Love. We appreciate all your
Thank
work.
you.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Any other questions from anybody? Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. I would like to call up my dear friend, Bob Fowler. Would you mind coming up real quick?
Put this over here so I can hear you. Don't talk into it. Just hear you.
I would like to introduce to all of you my dear friend. His name is Bob Fowler. Bob Fowler has been working for the city as a volunteer in our community court council for the last 20 years. Citizen court council for
Seems like 20 years, but more like 10.
10 years. And I have asked him to come in because he is stepping down as our, what's his title, director?
No, he's go ahead, Bob. It's our
Member of the
CERT,
Citizen Court Council, Fruit Heights Citizen Court Council.
as well as our CERT coordinator.
As well as our sort coordinator, and he is stepping down after, it seems like 40 years of dedicated service. Every Sunday, he is on the ham radios, making call-ins to making sure that if something happened, our communication channel throughout the entire city would work, and would work effectively. He is doing training and has been doing statewide and nationwide training so that his certification can be used here in the state and in the city of Fruit Heights. And I would like to ask all of you to please give Bob Fowler a round of applause for all that he has done for the city of Fruit Heights. Bob, you are a good man, and we sincerely thank you for all that you've done for the city and for all your dedication for the community and for everyone around. You are the first one to grab a shovel, grab a chainsaw. If anyone needs help, you're the last one to leave. And I personally want to thank you for all that you've done as an example to our city.
Thank you, Mayor Coleman. I might be retired, but I'm not yet expired. I hope I can still be an asset to the city.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are a good man. Next is the funnest part of the whole program. This is the best. Item number 4.3 is the swearing in of the youth city council. Would all the youth city council members please come forward? And Haley.
Raise your parents.
Turn around and face your parents. This is fantastic. Look how many people we have.
Do we have time for them to?
Yeah, actually, can we do something really quick? Starting here on the far right. Ms. Groberg, would you mind introduce yourself and pass it along
Loud voice.
loudly?
I'm Jeannie Robert. John, my husband, and I are development advisors for the youth council, and we have 75 members. So we're excited. We have 25 members this year, which we're missing a couple tonight that we're, but I think that's the biggest council we have ever had. So we're totally excited.
Josh Cox, Carson Cox.
I'm Bella Burke. I'm Ella Williams.
I'm Will Langman. Tyson Davis. Landon Jacobs.
I'm Sabrina Jackson. Heidi Davis.
Nancy Cover.
Arnold Jackson.
Thank you.
And I introduce Will Langman is going to serve as our mayor this year.
Yay.
Here at Front Center. So, it's a wonderful job for us. And I'll be their officer. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to turn over to Haley, our deputy recorder, who's going to officiate in the swearing in.
So you guys are going to raise your right hand. You're going to state your name, and then you're just all going to repeat after me. Okay? So I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support.
Do solemnly swear that I will support,
Obey and defend the Constitution of the United States.
obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
Of America and the laws of the state of Utah.
of America and the laws of the state of Utah
And the policies of Fruit Heights City during my term.
and the policies of Fruit Heights City during my term.
I will perform my duties as a city council member of Fruit Heights City, youth city council.
Do you want to start over, Haley?
I will perform my duties as a council member of Fruit Heights City, youth city council.
I will perform my duties as a council member of the Fruit Heights City Council.
Faithfully, and impartially discharge. Faithfully and discharge the responsibilities of my office to the best of my ability.
Faithfully and responsibly discharge
My ability.
Let's get them all straight in. Should we scoot out?
I don't think they can see
Stand
us.
up on the step
They don't see us.
so that you can see above.
As long as the flag
You
is.
stand up. No, I'm tall.
Yeah, they can't see us. Just as long as there's a flag in the back. That's a good thing right there. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
All of you been speakers, so I can turn the floor in.
There's always paperwork. Thank you. We look forward to the pictures. Jeannie, will someone report about your activities this month? The opening social,
There's just a training and then.
the opening.
So I want to personally thank all of you city council members. You guys are fantastic. If there's ever anything that you need or you want, please reach out. We are here to support you as well.
I didn't hear what he said. Did you?
And we understand if some of you leave.
Yes, we understand it's a school night and you have a lot going on. We're going to keep going with the agenda. Thank you so much for coming. You guys are fantastic.
Double duty for you. You know, we're making love.
No, he lives out. Excuse me, that was the last guy. I don't know where he lives. I don't know that. Okay. Definitely.
That's great.
Okay, moving on. We're going to move on to item number 5, which is a public comment period. This is set aside on every one of our agenda to approach City Council. Does anyone have anything they'd like to say to the City Council? Not seeing or hearing anything, we're going to move on to city business. Item number 6.1 is review, discuss, approve, deny the municipal code update for Title 6A.
Yes, and Mayor, our attorney let me know he's stuck in traffic and should be here in the next 15 to 20 minutes or so.
Great.
So we want to move on.
Okay, we'll come back to that one. Item number 6.2, which is review, discuss, approve, deny the water capital facilities plan. And this is going to be Darren and Lane. Or Zach, I'm so sorry. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this, is actually more of a discussion item. I don't know if any of this needs to be approved.
Okay.
Because, section 7, hopefully you guys have had an opportunity to read through this, figured it out Friday. Probably one of the little typos, 2 typos we found. Fine is, like I said, the IFFP, section 7 of this. And we actually use a lot of acronyms, right? So people in the crowd may impact fee facilities plan. We sent out an RFP, which is a request for proposal for financial institutions to submit their scope of work. We got 2 proposals back, and Jacob, Darren, and I, and Emily from our office, we're evaluating those now. We should have a recommendation in 2 weeks for that. So anyways, so this is more of a draft copy, but it's more or less 99% that. All the data, all the costs, all the analysis is completed. And I am prepared to go as in-depth as you want to, or really all I wanted to focus on was the executive summary, ES1, I think it's like the second or third page. To start things off, I've actually got a few sections I'm just going to hit on. And it's open for questions and further discussion. Just that, yeah, right there. Sorry, that delay. This is really delayed, so yeah, that delay. ES1, that table ES1. Should be
ES1, an executive summary of compliance, right? So for this, the capital facilities plan for the culinary water system, really looks at, well, like 3 things, right? Our city system storage, our city system distribution, and our city water sources. Right? Our office analyzed those in compliance with the state requirements, right? We look at state requirements and we base this analysis off our existing system and our projected future system. That's also based on the city plan, right? The city's future plan, right? Our zoning, our layout, what is left to be built out, what we have existing, and we break it down to more acronyms, ERCs, right, which are equivalent residential connections. So in a second, one of the sections here kind of explains that, but an ERC, like Cherry Hill can be broken into, I don't know what ERC is. You break it down to the equivalent residential connection. Cherry Hill can be like 125 equivalent residential. So we use the ERC number to figure out what our system can support and what it can distribute and what storage requirements are. So ES1 just kind of goes through the list of compliance for each one of them. Our source flow rate. Are we compliant? That's actually yes. I went through it today because we were looking at it as if our deficiencies. We do have some system deficiencies. Those deficiencies are based on our fire flow requirements. That we need to be able to supply to that chief of maybe he's interested in this. We do have some deficiency areas because there's a certain flow rate, about a few thousand gallon per minute flow rate that every fire hydrant in the city should have, based on the international fire code we use. He uses actually it's different with Kaysville. Farmington uses a little bit different approach, and it usually depends on the agency, whoever's using it, what kind of fire flows they need in their system, right? Their equipment and what their guys are trying to use. And it's also actually a function, and I apologize if I get down the weeds and a lot of this, you can kind of stop and try to keep me on track, but there's a lot. This is a very in-depth plan. I'm trying to just rush over and give you what you guys need to know. But with fire flows, it can depend on also the square footage of each type of resident. If it's commercial, residential, or industrial. But that's why in the fire flow section, which is the section 5, we don't need to go there, but I've listed the table and kind of break down how we can use that analysis in our modeling. Then back to the executive summary. The source flow rate is actually yes, because the system can handle the flows. The source annual volume, for our sources, we get mainly from Weaver Basin. Most of our water comes from Weaver Basin. And 5%, maybe less, comes from our well. But I think a key note to point out on the well, our water right for that is actually like 700 acre feet. So that water right is more than gold, right? So I would always recommend the city hold on to that as long as you can. Some cities like to barter with that, thinking they may not need it, but some of our other cities, our Jones Associates works for a lot of different cities, and some of these other cities have water right issues. They need more. Blue Heights cities very well with the water right, even though they have water in place. So, what the water right means also, though, it doesn't necessarily guarantee water, because if you don't have sources, you can't use it. But if there were more sources developed, that water right is why it's so essential. So, anyways, the source annual volume, yeah, we're compliant on current and bill. I'm sorry, I didn't emphasize that to you. The compliance for our current situation, and we've done the analysis on the remaining developable ground based on zoning. And
And so we looked at our current and what the projected build out would require. Source flow, yes, in the future, because we've identified a list of projects we need to do or to make that compliance, yes. Source annual volume is yes on both, again, because we have more than enough from Weaver Basin plus our water right. Well, at this current time, it'll produce enough for us to really take it over. Storage capacity, again, this is based on the state requirements. I might dive into it a little bit here in section 4.5. Storage capacity, working with Darren and Lane and discussing some scenarios that we have had and probably will have again. I think it's prudent to have additional storage. What's also interesting, is the state doesn't really define how you need to justify your extra storage for emergency storage. Kind of leave it up to the city, which is good because in our situation, we've been able to justify this additional storage that we need. So yes, we're compliant on storage and for current and future and the distribution system. That's where it's compliance by the state, because when we run the model, we still have sections of the city that have 6-inch lines. That old AC pipeline, that's our, because the focus level we can use some of the acronyms. We have asbestos cement, right? The asbestos cement pipe is the AC pipe that got put in back in the 50s. And we actually the last 2 years, using Scotty, that's where all the construction's been, just off the Nichols and on the east side of Scotty's coming into place, actually upsides in some cases our water system. But we still have, we're eliminating it quite a bit. So let's maybe hop down to, it's probably no way to point out this cost breakdown. This is a total cost associated with some of these projects we'll need to bring our water system up to compliance. We break it down for the purposes of the IFFP to help with figure out the impact fees on any new construction or new builds, new development. These amounts will matter. This financial institution we work with will use these dollar amounts to figure out where impact. But again, what's noteworthy, I guess, is some of the developer costs and impact fee eligible. We're about $2.5 million, which is good to identify that, because again, that just means the city is going to have to carry some of those costs. That's on new development, that's on anyone, do transplants for people growing buildings. Maybe let's hop down to maybe the table 221 and 222.
What page are those on, please?
Page 3.
Just on 3?
Yeah, page 3 on 221 or 221. Yeah, 221. Sorry, 22. I think that's just it. Page 5. Page 5. Lines versus production. Yeah, about right there. Yeah, those two. So I thought this was also noteworthy, I guess. Table 221 is consumption versus production. These are valued, part of our analysis. Actually, I'll give a shout out to Darren because, again, we work with a bunch of other cities. Free Heights has done an excellent job at record keeping on some of the water production, consumption, and the records. Like, some of our other cities have no, this is at the state level, right? He reports to the state uses that, the state is able to take Darren's data and come up with their own analysis, kind of hand down what Fruit Heights minimum requirements for Fruit Heights. If the water operators aren't doing that in some of the cities, then it's up to our office to analyze it and do more, which usually just translates to just more cost and whatever. But they're going to save a lot of that. also, like, if you look at this table 221, well, maybe before I go there, table 222 kind of shows the basic equation, right? Your losses per year seed plus your consumption should equal your production. So the division of drinking water hands down to this minimum saying you guys need to be able to produce 236 gallons per day per year per home. Okay, and we do. But the key thing to point out is the average losses. So that 208, 193, 14, that's the average since 2016. And the key thing to point out is that 208 is less than the state kind of mandated minimum, which means it's kind of a good thing that Fruit Heights residents aren't using that much water. So again, it's kind of hard to interpret some of this, but they're not using, the state's saying they should be using about 236 gallons a day. They're not, they're about 2 a day. But again, back to the stop tables, you look at the losses, right? The losses, 2016 were around 0. That could be an anomaly, but it's probably, it was probably about more than 0. Losses 18, they start going up around 2019 and then go down. Why is that? Well, that's because of the tax products. Darren and Brandon was here. We over those years, and Brandon Jones, and I actually was involved in a few of those, actually since 2007, building them, but it's improved the system, it's reduced the losses. I think it's pretty cool. So but that just points out that that's kind of the point of all this in this section, right? Section 2 is some of the requirements. So now let's jump down to section sources. I don't know if we can talk about it. If there's a question, so I'm sorry, I'm trying to skim through this. Section 4.5 and 4.5.1, extra school.
Can I say something real quick? For the city council, this is something that Lane and Darren have worked really, really hard and close on with Jones and Associates. This is something that's been discussed at length and has been worked out very meticulously. And I appreciate all that Lane and all that Darren have done to get it to this point.
Yeah,
What page are we in?
we are going to section 4, so. We're going to restore.
Thank you.
Section 4.5.1. This is last page 17.
Thank you.
Yeah, is that? Back up that. Like I was saying, like this kind of allows Fruit Heights City to kind of say, hey, you see what the state's saying on our minimum storage, but we feel like we need more. And I'll read this section real quick. So Darren, if it's appropriate, if you can chime in and maybe remind me of all your justifications. So scroll up, actually the section right above this, the verbiage, I think above this table, basically. Yeah, section 4.5 analysis. To analyze water storage needs, the city has provided an emergency storage target goal of 3 days with 6 feet of water in the storage tanks at the end of the 3rd day. This analysis considers 3 average days, so 3 by 236 gallons per day. Here, so that's that minimum requirement. 2 additional days over the minimum state requirement, equalization storage. Since both tanks have a capacity of roughly 20 feet water storage, 30% or 6 over 20 is 0.3. Buffer 6 feet, right? For the storage tank capacity that is still needed at the end of the 3rd day. So I don't know. You want to elaborate more on why, like the history, like why? Because that. I'm trying to remember exactly what you told me when we were meeting on this. Like, there's been instances where the drawdown has happened so fast that you feel like, oh, geez, we're getting close to, and so we feel like we need more, right?
some of at times on our water system, if we were raising happens to shut down. At 3 days, our tanks are right down to just a couple feet of water. We were racing up for 3 days, and it's really stressful. You might have 1 foot of water left in the tank. If there's any kind of fire, if there's any kind of anything, that'll be gone in a matter of minutes. So that's part of that emergency, you know what? We need some more water up there just for that thing. And you gotta remember, the lower tank only services 2 zones. Right down here in this corner of town, on the other side of the highway. So 750,000 of our storage serves one area. The million can serve the whole city. So,
Well, that
there's
makes
a big
it,
difference.
that it makes more sense to have that buffer because the chief loves talking about us being an interface.
Yes.
So, and that's all kind of just, like I was saying, the state doesn't really say, well, the only way you're justified as a condition sort of, they have, is pretty wide open. So that example is all we need to say, this is why, and to make that impact relevant. The additional ERCs or new development and other build outs or subdividing parcels, will contribute. And so anyways, that was also not really, sorry, I'm trying to go through this as quickly as I can, but still give you all the relevant information. So extra storage, section 5, I don't know if you can maybe scroll through that and show that table.
Before you run past that, 4.6 where it says projects, I'm confused by that table. On the first column or second column, it says construct new 500,000 gallon culinary water tank. And then description of purpose says construct a 1 million gallon.
Yeah, that's one of the typos. And it's the 500.
Good catch, George.
That, I updated that today, actually, on this, but not only that, the purchase and replace, we're not replacing anything, this would be an addition.
This will just be an addition.
Yeah, I've updated that, so in the final, it'll show it'll be a land purchase of new future tank, so it's not a replacement, and it is a 500,000. In fact, we identified it really only need the 4.2 million gallons, but usually we build tanks. It's usually the 250,000, 500,000, 750,000. All right, so to clarify, that will be updated and that will be changed. It is the 500,000, or excuse me, 500,000 gallon tank. So yeah, section 5, let me scroll down through to the International Fire Code table, because Crew Heights has a lot of large square foot homes, and yeah, I mean there's over 400,000 or not 4,000 square feet, and so keep going. The actually, I'm sorry, that's I think it's an appendix. I think it's an appendix, but either way, I think it's in section 5.
It's a big factor.
Yeah. Maybe it's no big deal. We don't, I think we'll go down to the exhibits here last. 5.3.2. Because like I was saying earlier, there's we have zones in the city that's non-compliant. We have an active working water model for the city. It's actually pretty accurate compared to some of our hydrant pressures. But we have deficiencies in the fire flow because you have to be able to run a hydrant kind of any given location at 2,000 GPM or gallons per minute, and then at any other hydrant you have to be able to maintain 20 psi. There's a handful, I can say a lot, there's a handful of locations where it's sufficient. like the chief was saying, if they've got a fire going on this end of town, another going on this end of town, our system technically in specific areas wouldn't be able to. So we need to get that to be compliant, right? We're out of compliance. So again, a lot of these projects identify the locations of where we need to improve it, make it compliant for upside. And whether or not those are caused by, in fact, the entire project list is broken down into that. It outlines the projects and whether or not they're maintenance, whether or not it's impact fee eligible, whether or not it's developer cost, whether or not it's just our typical project. So table 5.3.2 are these areas, right? This shows the actual fire codes. Well, first one, Oak Mountain Lane, Mountain Road, 1375 east. We get 850 gallons per minute. That's not great. 450 North Ward Road, 650 North Mountain Road, Terrace Drive, Fairway View, Deer Creek. I mean, all in all, though, all things considered, that's not too many areas. Seaworth, Waterless, other cities. So anyways, any questions on those areas? Any concerns about those areas? All right.
Zach, is there anything else you want to point out on this? This whole report, because this is something that I know that you spent a lot of time with Darren and.
Yeah, maybe section 6, just that asset management. I'll just end with that, or there's exhibits, I'll end with that. The exhibits have the mapping, kind of show the layout, but any questions? Section 6 just talks about that asset management, talks about the plan, right? And this will be the document that we kind of refer to moving forward. Once we get the IFP finished, section 7 done, and then we can bring it back to council for acceptance.
Okay.
But this will be the plan we'll use to then year to year figure out our capital facilities plan, like Lane, Darren, Jacob, our office, myself will work together to figure out, okay, Fruit Heights, here's the needs, here's the projects we need to do. It'll help them and the planning commission and other administration and the city government figure out and prioritize. Because like I said, we went through all of these project ratings at Darren and Lane kind of rankings, right? It's your total ranking. There's another title here. But anyways, a lot of this, you can scroll through the list, there's like 30 projects. None of that's scary, right? That's kind of, we span that out over 25 years. Some of these systems can last that long. Some of these systems we just identified saying, hey, this isn't like, it's not going to not work, but you should probably upside it here, eventually. It's actually, the state code actually lets you keep a 6-inch line in service until you decide to maintain or if you're going to build on it, you have to upside the turbine. So that is pretty much all the critical items that you need to probably know about the CFP document. If you want to scroll down to these exhibits, some of the mapping, I've got the projects on that. I've got the water model current. I've got the water model future.
Can I just ask a couple of
Sure.
questions real quick? As I read through this and I'm looking at this list, does saying that Rockoff Ridge have to have a 12-inch line, does that mean it's got to be redone from what we already approved to go in there?
No, actually, they are installing equipment.
Okay.
We've already identified that. That's on this list because it's not finished.
Okay.
So it needs to be on this stated plan. They're putting in 12, but the city is paying that difference because we don't need 12. Well, we would like our system to have a 12, it'll help in other areas. Realize we don't have to, but we want to for the sake of the rest of the system.
So then we recruit that by charging them.
Not necessarily, no. That cost isn't recouped in impact fees. The impact fees will help pay for help pay for other deficiencies in the system. I mean, yes and no. I mean, that's not an answer, right? It kind of, it's finance stuff that I don't know, never really great answer to give on those, but
But it would have to be redone in the future then.
yeah.
So another question is that UDOT took a well from us, and there was discussion previously about what are we gonna do, as far as regaining that, lost water. Have we, is that are we making any progress there, or what's going on with that?
I don't know.
So, on that, well, we've had a lot of discussions, and we think the money would be better spent going to storage.
Okay,
Because storage is a guarantee,
okay,
drilling a well,
it's not,
it's
it's in
not.
practice.
It's just,
So we've given up on drilling a well, and we're going to put the money that UDOT gave us towards this extra new storage tank.
yes.
Okay.
Storage.
Thank you.
Did they take the water right from that well?
No, we kept all the water rights, we kept everything, and we ended up just working it out where UDOT paid us what they would pay to drill the well. And so that's what we got.
Okay, because that kind of went away, so I was kind of wondering where it went away to. When you talk about the RFP, what is it you're putting out to bid there? I
So
don't
we,
understand.
the RFP, again, the acronym, request for proposals, so what we did is we sent out a scope of work, saying, hey, we need help with finishing, because our office, doesn't need a financial certified, I don't remember all the rules about, in order to implement an impact fee,
Okay,
right, you need to have a certified licensed, financial specialist to do it.
okay,
Would be our office. We had to reach out and say, hey, we need, your guys' help with this segment of our capital facilities plan. We're going to update the impact fee facilities plan. So you guys will need to, propose to us your costs for this scope of work. We've got 2 proposals so far. It was, LRB and Zion's. It looks like Zion's less expensive, but Jacob and Aaron and I, we got, before the end of the week, we'll probably have an analysis on.
so they're just gonna help us determine if it's really $13 million. Is that?
No, they're gonna say, yeah, they look to us and say, what does it cost to do all this?
Okay.
That's what it costs, and they'll break down all the demographic of the city and the financial, and then they'll look at, the legalities of the costs. They're saying we're going to make a fee and make it defendable, right? So anyone that comes in and says, I don't need to pay that, here's, you are more.
So, I do have one more question if I could. A lot of other cities force developers to bring their water with them. We had foresight many years ago to buy water at the expense of the citizens that were living here at that time. Is there any way to charge the developer based on that amount of water that the city has already purchased? Or is that just something we legally can't do? Do you understand my question?
Yeah, and I don't think you can legally do it, right? Because unless it's in your ordinance, because usually that's written in ordinance, like if you're going to develop in the next city, you need to, whatever water shares you have, or you need to bring this much to the table based on.
Or you need to buy this much from the city?
Or from the city, yeah, Brad, do you have any chime in on that?
That's a very, very nuanced question.
Yeah.
And in order to answer it, I need to better understand how the city acquired it, where they acquired it. So I can answer it, but I would need more information to be able to answer it.
And if it's something that we need to put in our ordinance, because the citizens who have lived here for, well, we last bought water, 10 years ago, maybe? And so the citizens that lived here 10 years ago paid for that water before the people who are moving into these new subdivisions. And so maybe this is something we need to put in our ordinance so that we are actually saying you're using X number of shares that the city acquired from Weaver Basin through the different projects, whether it was, from Bear Lake or wherever, and actually kind of conducting some sort of transaction. Because we all bought that water, and they're coming in and using that water, whereas a lot of other cities are forcing those developers to bring their water with them.
True. One of the things, so the state has been very aggressive in amending its, and litigators have been very aggressive in challenging impact fees. Our Rights Coalition being one, a little association has challenged a lot of those. So there can be landmines in trying to recoup that from impact fees. There are
But if you
There are ways,
from the
there
dollar
should be,
upfront,
well, there should be a way, there's other ways to do it with your utility rates, your water rates.
Right, I was gonna say, if you really look at the summary of this report, you'll see that Group Heights currently buying from Weaver Basin has more than enough water.
right? Right,
And so,
right, we were.
if you're trying to, like, if it's a cost concern, because all that, when build out happens, you have X amount more, people paying into your water system, your water rates, so it's helping. In fact, what I'm saying is we currently now have enough water that just with the users we have and what we're paying for now to support all that.
Right,
So adding that many more users and their.
but that's the usage fee, that's not the initial water purchase fee.
But those impact fees can kind of help pay for some of that for our system.
Okay.
So that's why I say it's kind of a hard answer, but yeah, it's nuanced. It kind of depends, all depends. So.
Let me jump in. Lane, do you have anything that you want to add? Anything you want to point out to the city council on this report?
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
Thank you for helping
I
us.
did not include, and this was back when Brandon Green was still here, because I asked him, like, hey, do you want, because the plan, the city plan was, I think, Brandon Green, they looked at developing golf course, part of the town. I said, so do you want me to, when I do this CFP, do you want me to look at analyze this? And he says, no, we only really did that to kind of appease some of the state requirements. Because he's like, realistically, I don't ever see the golf course. But if it does, for some reason, at that point, then we can amend the CFP. So if you guys are free to that equipment, this else, because this is future land use, right? We're going out to the future water model. I think it's this one. Future water model, so maybe it's not a law. I think that's future, because it includes, it includes rock cloud and that time through the county and down that part of the proposal. Yeah, I didn't show any, like, we showed as much as we could in all the future build out area, like in some of these areas of water system, home stack. But I didn't show it all for that reason. So just know that we can amend this existing CFP, include that if at some point the county gives it up, says, hey, rights.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Can I, on page 28, under projects cost summary, some of them are dated 2018, 2019. Do those happen? Or
Yes, some of these have, or look here, 18 or which page?
right there.
Ward Road and the cul-de-sac place 18AC. Yeah,
So I'll tell you on that one, not all of it has been replaced. The state came over to Ward Road and ran a 10-inch line over to it. But the city did not go down Ward Road and replace the AC line.
I guess my question was,
Yeah, why
is it predated or are they already done?
Yeah, I think we can update that. I think we can update this section because, yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me when I will put it, or that, like I said, this should be from now moving forward. And I could probably update that as efficiency.
Zach, thank you so much for coming and presenting tonight.
Yeah.
I appreciate all the work. Darren,
Thank you.
thank you for your work on this. Lane, thank you. We're going to, Brad.
Excuses.
Right.
Bye, Bob. Thank you again.
Brad, you wanna
See you
walk?
soon.
See you again.
Thanks. For the record.
Brad Christofferson is going to discuss municipal code update Title 6A.
So Title 6A is a update to recodification of service and use ago.
Hey, Zach and Sean, would you guys step out and also we can keep going?
So we started that's all. We started a recodification of all of Fort Heights City Code to bring it up to current legislative standards. So this is a continuation of that. This is Title 6A, business regulations. We all know that Fruit Heights does not have a large business community, large tax base at all. So the question is, why do we need all this? Just in case. Quite simple, we're just complying with state law for most of it. Some of them, there's a couple of things that the home occupation business license, I've left that in red. There's some other sections I've got to continue revising before you can adopt this. We got a basic draft here. The alcoholic beverages, that's another one that's been changed recently. So we've got to update that. This was something that Brandon and I had started. And in sensitivity to budget restraints and budget concerns in the legal budget, we decided to wait on a lot of it. So at that time, the alcoholic beverages was updated, but it's got to be revised again. But that should not take too much time because, anyway, I've done it before. The Chapter 6, Section 1 businesses. So a lot of council members, we live in Utah, very conservative state. Why do we have this in there? Well, constitutionally, we're required to. It's that simple. So last I checked, the only zone that it's allowed in is on the city shop property. So I think you're safe. And that is legal, that is defensible, that is no concern, but we do have to have an ordinance that allows for it. We do have an existing ordinance. This one just makes it current. Let's see, there's one other section I need to because at the time when we initially created this, the rental dwellings, we hadn't yet adopted our other ordinance. So I've just got to make sure that we're not violating one with the other, making sure they're congruent and coincide. But that's it. This is just the first reading, first look at it. If you have any questions, let me know. But this is just for your introduction to it. I don't expect to have you read every verse and title and every bit of this. It's basically just kind of comprehensive for any business regulations. It does affect businesses that are in existence in Fruit Heights, but we try to make it, as least little regulation is required by the state.
What's your timing on being able to finalize this and get this adopted?
The schedule that Jacob and I committed to is we're trying to get one of these done per month. So the next council meeting, we should have an adoptable version.
Great. Is there anything that we can do to support in this, getting these completed? That's pretty aggressive to do one a month.
Is there a lot of change? Do you feel like there's a lot of changes?
So a recodification is basically taking your existing, we did title 1A, 2A, 3A, 5A. This is 6A. So the next one, this was kind of on the list. This was kind of the lowest hanging fruit of what's there. So then we're going to come back and do 4A. And I'm going to combine a couple of those titles because in the existing city code, there could be like 1 page long. So we're going to combine those in a way that makes sense. Like public safety, we're going to have some additional ordinances. And our goal in public safety is to kind of, unless there's direction different from council, is to kind of have a similar statutory read as the county does, because the sheriff is the one enforcing it. It makes it really difficult on the sheriff if we have a different set of ordinances in Fruit Heights than they do in the county, but if we have the same, fairly simple.
Great.
So if there's anything that you know that's an issue, speeding on a certain area or anything like that, if there's certain, we have tagging that becomes an issue or something like that. I'll give you an example. I don't know if there are or not, but if there's a specific area you'd like to make sure that we're catching, that would be helpful.
Great. That's awesome.
But our goal is to, did we say by the end of the year get most of it done, or was it by the end of the fiscal year? Yes, by the end of the fiscal year. So the one outstanding item that, will require quite a bit of work from Jeff's part and involvement from Darren will be the subdivision ordinance, all of Title 10. So that one is lengthy, as you know. So that right now is the last one to be done, unless we get different direction from council, but that's the important one that they want done. If there's specific things that you want addressed by the council, in any, out of order, that's fine, we can do that too. But anyway.
I think just continuing progress is great. We'd love to see it. Okay. Thank you.
Our client's fee schedule, or is that part we're gonna update too, and that our ability to put some teeth in what we have, because we see we lack some of that.
So I would love any feedback or information that you have on that, and we can incorporate it.
Thank you so
To
much.
the extent that the state allows us.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks.
6.3, review, discuss, approve, deny the Rockcroft Ridge Estates Phase 3. This came through Planning Commission. Sorry, came through Planning Commission. Any thoughts, any concerns with it?
Not really, it would seem to be fine.
Great. I think it's just a boundary change. Darren, do you want to talk about it?
So phase 3 is just the next phase of the Rockcroft Estates. So this is already gone through all the planning commission and everything like that. They're to the point on where they want to get the plat recorded and stuff like that. So it's just here for final from the council, so we can get it.
So does this need to be conditioned upon, again, that connection to East Oaks, to 1800 East?
Yeah, that'll be done probably in like 3 weeks.
It's moving quick.
They're right there now, so we'll actually start the water line, I think.
Can they take money on these lots yet?
Not
until after recording.
Not until they're recorded, so.
And we can't record it until after, okay. Because someone was under the impression that he was already taking money.
So clarification on that, they can take money, once it's recorded, and they can record either after the improvements are in or after they put a sufficient bond for the public improvements with the city. I think that's the route.
Yes, we just put out a escrow account.
So they made,
For the
I think I signed the plat.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
so
so that was the phase 1 and phase 2 and 2A.
Okay.
Those ones we've already brought to the council. And
Yeah, but they were all conditioned upon that connection being done.
Phase 1 and phase 2, yes.
Okay.
So, and that condition is we won't do any building lots or any building permits. I should say building permits.
But you can't sell that.
He can sell them, he just,
if the plat's recorded and he's deposited the escrow account.
And we recorded those plats even though that connection wasn't done.
yes, because it's all in escrow now.
Yeah, they deposited a pretty sizable sum of money in the state, cash. So if for some reason they're not able to finish those public improvements, the city has to pay.
Okay.
Excellent. So with that, I would look for a motion.
Motion to approve Rock Lodge Ridge Estates Phase 3 with the condition that no building lots will be, or no building permits will be issued until the completion of the connections through to 1800 East. Through
I have a motion from, I have a motion from Eileen. Do I have a second? Second from George. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving Rockcroft Ridge Estates Phase 3, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, council. Item number 6.4, review, discuss, approve, deny subdivision lot amendment for Fairway Cove subdivision first amendment. Anything?
No, it's pretty simple.
Right.
The lot line adjustment.
Yeah.
Any questions on this one?
Pretty simple. I would
It's
actually
just moving the lot lines, as you can see, it'll be straight. Pretty much when they come through with it, so.
I would entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the subdivision law amendment for Fairway subdivision first amendment.
I second.
Motion from Flo, second from Diane. All in favor of approve, or any further discussion? All in favor of approving the subdivision lot amendment for Fairway Cove subdivision first amended? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I haven't seen
Is it, that's what I've been looking for in here, is, what's it called on in our agenda stuff? Because I didn't see it,
I haven't seen it either.
I went through everything,
I did too.
so what is it called and how is it there?
I saw it on the,
So this went through planning commission, last time.
Okay, but it needs to be in our meeting stuff.
I know the neighbors.
Okay,
If it matters.
but where is it in our
It's
stuff?
not in our stuff.
It didn't come through.
No,
It's
so
not
how
in
can we do this if it's not in our stuff?
our stuff.
So we can bring it up on the screen right there, and you see exactly all it is, it's moving lots. Just a line
But
between
that's
two
not
neighbors.
24-hour notice.
Do
So
you need to postpone it?
I don't know if we need to postpone it. It's a very small lot line adjustment.
Right, but
And the neighbors both wanted it, and they've already done it, and then, but he's smart enough, the guy that, Nielsen, one of the lots, he said he's a builder, and so he knows it needed to go to the city for future people that may not understand it.
right,
And because the neighbors already adjusted it and
They
wanted.
already adjusted it, and they've already.
I have no problem with that, I'm having a problem in it, I don't see it here.
So can we vote on it if it's not in our packet?
So
Because it hasn't become a public.
If the council wants to consider it further, they can, so the notice requirements are for the public. And I get that the council should be notified about it, there's no question about that, if you didn't meant that out of the packet, but, as far from a procedural standpoint, you can vote on it because it's noticed to the public, and that was what was important.
Where is it noticed to the public?
Planning commission.
On the agenda,
No, the planning commission is not the same as the council.
on the agenda, it was.
Yeah, it was on the agenda, so that's the notice that's required on this.
So.
Because this is a request from the two property owners.
Okay,
That's
so if
that
it's
makes
on the agenda, even though we don't have the backup information for it,
Correct.
it's still okay.
From a legal standpoint, there's no notice issue on this particular one because it's two property owners that requested it and they've both been notified, nobody else is impacted. That makes sense.
Thank you for being here, Brad.
And if I remember from planning commission, this is a square foot for square foot scale. It's exactly, the lot sizes don't change. It's just, they decided they wanted to have a straight line there instead of a little slanted line between the lots, and so they did it themselves anyway. The landscaping already reflects that new lot line, the proposed new lot line.
So I have a motion and I have a second. Do we have any further discussion? All in favor of approving the subdivision lot amendment of Fairway Cove subdivision first amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Item number 6.5, review, discuss, approve, deny an MOU supporting behavioral health services. This is something we previously discussed. This is now the agreement that Davis Behavioral Health is sending us. This is an agreement that we are on the hook for $900 in our fiscal year 2024. So next year, as a city, we would be on the hook to hire a percentage of a part-time employee that will be shared with Centerville, Layton, and then Kaysville, Fruit Heights, and Farmington have all come together. So this part-time employee is going out and getting grants. She used to do it just for all of Davis County. Now she's breaking it up so that each area can get allotted more funds for behavioral health services.
Will it be a recurring budget item that
It
we
will
need
be.
to put in?
It will be.
We can afford that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
How can we not?
How can we not afford it? Okay, just
I
have to ask.
Can I ask?
It's-
But can we have a discussion on this?
Yes, absolutely.
I was doing a little more reading on it, and just so I'm super clear, Davis Behavioral Health does not do the county anymore, correct? that they are a private organization.
So Davis Behavioral Health is part of the county, but what these services they're providing to youth is not a service that's been, so what they're trying to do is they're trying to get funding so that these services can be provided.
1980, 1990, they became a private organization. They're 501c3.
I didn't know that.
That's what I read.
Okay.
So they're 501c3, so they're separate. As far as I understand, that's what I'm going
So they're a private organization,
They're private 501c3.
but that's okay, right, if it's not a county?
Right.
So a 501c3 is a public organization, but not operated by, and I don't know if they're, I don't have any information to disagree with what you're saying, I don't know, but a 501c3 is a public entity, meaning there's not an individual shareholder, so to speak. So it's a charitable organization.
Right, sure. Not public is not a public entity. They're not.
Right, yeah, and I don't know if
They're
they're.
not, no longer governed by anything with the county.
Right.
And do you think that's okay, George?
Well, and I, for reading last week, our last meeting, I read about charitable giving for cities and how we start to get into gray areas about us legislating gift giving for the citizens.
That is true.
And so just maybe we're just a little bit that we should be super careful about going down this road of supporting a private, in my opinion, 501c3. The LDS Church is 501c3. There's a dozen different, million, 100 different 501c3. And so just because it says Davis Behavioral Health, and it has had a history of being part of the county, I think that there's this idea that it is part of the county, but it's not really. So I worry about going down that road of legislating that.
May I ask a question? I talked to Jacob about this, and he said that in Centerville, it's donations that they gather instead of the city paying. It doesn't come from the city at all, but they somehow, Jacob, can you explain that, please?
Well, originally they had a foundation, that was a separate 501c3 that collected for city purposes. And they would go and fundraise is what they would do. So they would solicit donations for the Centerville Cares. So that's how it operated previously.
So when it says it's directed by the Utah Office of Substance Use and Mental Health, it only means they're taking guidelines, it means they're not under their arm.
Exactly, read that pretty quick.
And that they're working with Davis County cities, meaning not that they're under any authority from the counties, but they're private.
But having said that, on my training last week, I talked about maybe having a fund, giving an option for council members to divert some of their.
Or even citizens.
Or the citizens, creating a fund in the city where we can put money for things like this. Right. Where it's not tax dollars, but no money.
I see your point, because we are using our strong arm of taxes to then fund the 501c3. And, we've been asked to do that in the past with Davis Arts and different things. We kind of have shut a lot of that down.
I shut down the Davis Chamber of Commerce.
Because
the art festival
because we're using our government power then to support a 501c3 that we actually don't have the ability to see or do.
There's no oversight.
And there's no oversight by the county, so this is an issue.
So of all of them, I agree with, but this one I think is providing a service that is in desperate need that we don't have enough resources for. And, looking at Centerville Cares and what they've done in Centerville, it's a fantastic organization. They built that because the mayor and his wife got that off the ground and donated lots of money of their own because they were personally invested in seeing this work out. But the sustainability of that is when they are gone, it won't be able to sustain as well as this direction that we've decided to hire a percentage of a part-time employee to help run and fund and organize for that would be responsible for Kaysville, Farmington, and Fruit Heights, and stand accountable to us as what they're doing in their marching orders.
Well, and on the other hand, it does say that it's under the Utah Office of Substance Abuse Use and Mental Health will provide certain functions. So it is a governmental cooperation in that sense. So we're not so far out in left field.
Right.
Except I feel like if we were to make that donation this year, we should hold it accountable and not make it a recurring expense, but that we next year really evaluate if it's done anything in line with our civic duties, rather than a charitable donation to just some organization.
So I asked my wife to sit on the board as they were trying to put this together. And she was the one that helped kind of organize it and orchestrate where this was going. Because we're not on the hook, and it's just an MOU that we're signing. And it's not until next fiscal year. So they should have a full year of this employee that was just recently hired last month. Before we should be able to see what's going on before any money actually goes out the door.
And we could put it out on our Ridge Runner and ask for donations.
Well, can only do that as George said, we could not
Right.
To solicit donations from residents to support this. It could be.
Yes, Brad.
I've just been doing some checking. Councilmember Ray is correct. It is a 501c3 and it has been a separate entity from Davis County since 1987.
87?
Yes. They had revenues of about 26 million last year.
What?
Expenses of 24 million.
And they need $900 from us?
A lot of their funding comes from Medicaid and federal grants as well, similar to the Salt Lake Valley Behavioral.
Is there any way to measure whether they, I mean, because there's a lot of resources dealing with this, are they coordinated? How do we know which ones are actually helping? It's hard to measure, isn't it?
That's, well, what they're trying to do, what they've done in Centerville is they very closely know how many and what is going on with it. And that's part of why they're trying to why they hired a part-time employee that we will split with us and other cities so that we can get an accountability and they will be able to report back on not just generalities, but they'll be able to know exactly where they live. In fact, I listened to a presentation from Mayor Wilkinson with Centerville, and he said that with Centerville Cares, what they're doing, he's like, Fruit Heights, we have 52 residents who have attended one of our meetings in the past 12 months. I'm like, wait, who? Like, how? It's like, well, just the word has gotten out, and our organization is doing the service for the entire county, and we need you guys to step up on what your cities are doing. Anyways, so with that being said, I would look for a motion.
I move to approve the MOU on the condition that the council come up with a way to build a fund that allows citizens and council members to fund those funds to provide the support to the community.
So it's not coming out of that.
Correct. And each year we'll annually review the funds, maybe somebody wants to shop on. Somebody wants, or whatever, cemetery fund.
Or Western Technical, or even the Day Science Council.
Or Day Science Council.
Some of those things.
Right.
So they need to come out of not tax dollars.
So I have a motion from George. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion on that condition?
And to be clear, the MOU is that money will come from non-taxable.
Non-tax.
In 2024. So that will be our next fiscal year. Okay. And I would actually personally say that I would be willing to fund that because I believe in it that much. And if that's the case, like that's important enough to me. So I would support your direction with that. but it needs to be sustainable. It has to be something that can go on. Yeah. Okay.
And I think that's some points to see as well. to support.
The what?
The
Why
White.
do you have to build a fundraiser for it?
That's appropriate.
All in favor of approving the MOU supporting Davis Behavioral Health Services on condition that we find a way to fund this without taxpayer dollars? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That has been approved. Item number 7. 10 more minutes, guys. Let's get this busted out. 7.1, discuss regional cooperative for affordable housing. Gary. Oh, that's Jacob.
Yeah, so we received a letter from Senator. One of the things that you could.
Is your mic on?
Listed 26 items that you could do to appease the state with the affordable housing initiative is to send out letters to find out if there's any intent on doing some kind of regional effort, coming up with a regional plan to provide for this affordable housing. So Centerville reached out with their letter. They're asking us if we would be interested in participating in that region. That's all that is.
I thought that was a pretty innovative approach.
And the way that their city manager explained to me, it's a 2 to 3 year process, just so that way we have enough time. We can both appease the state with the requirements, and we can actually do something meaningful with this regional initiative. They've sent it out to all of the cities in the South Davis. So I think it's from Layton South.
That's great.
So no action, just kind of, if we're on board, something we want to move forward with, tell them, yes, we'll participate. We'll do the same thing. We'll send out a letter and show them our support in a regional.
That should help us with enacting some of those.
I think all of you have been copied on emails from Bountiful as well. Bountiful City Council trying
Thank
to
you.
Doing the same thing.
doing the same thing, trying to push back.
Great.
7.2, day service.
So just a heads up, the day of service that we're doing this year, will be for the main through High State, will be the Cathedral Wilderness Park. So that's where the service takes.
And I think they've sent out flyers to all the homes, so that should be well publicized.
Great, thank you. Is there anything that we as a city need to do to support that?
I talked to Cole today, they're set up for what they got going, and they'll have people there, stuff like that, so.
Do you understand how many people will show up?
With the chainsaw.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he does, but I'm like, good luck,
Should we reach out to him and give him a personal heads up? Like,
I actually met him up there today and talked to him. So,
because we've had 2 years of this and they've been awesome. They've been busy bees, but you get them off course just 1 degree and man, they are just cutting down green trees, thinking that they're building their own trail right there.
yes,
I'm not kidding. I saw it myself, like, what are you doing? Well, I've got a chainsaw, I gotta use it.
it is my mom.
Yeah. The UDOT agreement, you wanna go with that, Darren?
Yeah, so the UDOT agreement is for the frontage roads that they finished now, that'll be Lloyd Road, all over Green Road, on the west side, and, places in between Nichols Bridge, 400 North Bridge, all those will be the city's roads, and the city's responsibilities. So UDOT sent this out to have signed this agreement that we can claim the BC road from mileage for those. So that's what this agreement is for.
Great. Do you wanna
And it's
go?
just for information, and the mayor can sign that tonight, and we'll get it sent back to him.
Do you wanna go on to the street lights as well?
So then we'll just move on to the street lights. So, 3 years ago, we approved the street lights for all the UDOT projects and have the street lights installed.
To our specifications.
To our specs, our lights, all that. We now have received the bill for the installation, and it's about $100,000. When we did the budget this year, Jacob and I weren't aware of not rolling that money over. So it's been rolled over for the last 3 years. So the money is there in the general fund. But we did not earmark it to finish the payment for that. So we will have to amend the budget here in December to show that money is being spent on a project but the money is in the budget. We did it 3 years ago when we did the project.
Is it done?
So all the lights are done and in.
Okay.
There's still a couple that haven't turned on yet.
So
I'm waiting for Utah Power to set.
I'm looking at the bottom of Cary Drive and Bear Canyon, that area, we used to have a street light out, you know, on the end of the.
Out on the main, yeah.
And it's so dark down there. And, I mean, it's dark down there. There's no street lights down there.
I have another project coming up, and when I do that project, we'll install some streetlights on our side down there. Those other ones then were Rocky Mountain Power, and we thought they would leave them, and they.
Because it's way darker than it used to be.
So, but that's, and that cost us just about $101,000, so, but it is something that we have money for. So I just want to give a heads up on that too.
Thank you. Just one other item. It was discussed a couple weeks ago, maybe even last month, that the city went through a storm drain audit with the state. And I just want the city council to know all the work that Darren did, all the work that Lane did, and all the work that Ted did was incredible. State auditors were walking through and seeing everything they did. And from what I've heard, everything was in perfect shape. That Ted has done an incredible job documenting, recording, and because of all of his work, we were able to go through that very quickly. So I just want you guys to know how grateful I am for all that our public works team is doing. As well, you want to talk about Founders Day?
Just thank you very much. It was a really fun party. Thanks for all coming, and Mayor, the ice cream was really a nice touch. Everybody that works, guys, and you guys, everybody worked really
Well together, and staff and the office staff, all they did.
It was an incredible evening. That is fun. I love it when it was, because it changed enough that it brought such a fun crowd. I love it. So thank you, all the staff. Like, that was a really, really well orchestrated event.
And we are going to have a little evaluation meeting on the 20th. So if you have any comments of how it could be better or something, please
Changed, modified, something that you want to see different.
reach out to one of us and we'll include that in the suggestion.
It would really be nice to have a book that can go to the next Founders Day chair. I know there has been some evaluations in the past, but I think that would have been helpful for you to have this year. That's a good idea.
Well done.
Yeah. Item number 8.1 says 7, but we have 2 7s. Review and approve the city council minutes from August 1st. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from August 1st.
I have a correction. Sorry.
It's all right.
Let me go back to it because I was, looking at this other thing for a moment. We have a citizen core council, not courts. CORPS, and it needs to be reflected accurately in the minutes. The Citizen Core Council is also referred to sometimes as the Emergency Preparedness Committee. It is the same thing. And in addition to that, we have area coordinators. So when we're talking about this on our emergency preparedness barbecue that we're talking about with Bob Fowler, there are a couple of spots that need to be changed to reflect the actual names. Then we also have a search program with the Community Emergency Response Team, of which Bob was the coordinator. So if we could make those changes and reflect those in the minutes more accurately, I think that would be important.
Great. Anything else? I would entertain a motion.
I would we approve the minutes from the meeting of August 1st.
Thank you, Flo. Joyce.
That's correct.
With the corrections that have been mentioned.
Thank you, Flo. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Diane. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes for August 1st as outlined, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. 8.1 consent calendar. George Ray. Everything looks good. You sent me a couple things. I have discussed those with the city, with the staff. They have done a kind of, the staff are now wearing more shirts that have the logo on it, as you can see from our staff this evening. Looks fantastic. I love it. They're branded as city council members. But those, like city employees, but those were discussed and justified. Thank you. City council report. Do we have anything to report, Flo?
I already did.
Excellent. Diane.
I'd just like to put into our minutes today, and maybe we could put it in the next Ridge Runner, the notice about a resident that passed away this week. He happens to be my neighbor, but he was also a police officer with the Sandy Police Department. He was diagnosed with melanoma cancer, but he leaves a wife and 2 small children, just a new baby from the summer. I think it is good to note for our residents that he was a canine officer with the Sandy Police Department, and she was a school teacher, I think in Bountiful, and I just think it's good for us to note the sadness of that and the loss of a great civil servant, even though it wasn't in our city. Brad Taylor is his name. I just think it'd be good to make note of that, and that there is a GoFundMe fundraiser to help with medical expenses.
You always have to be careful when the city or city GoFundMe.
Okay,
You really can't.
scratch that, but
I mean, if we want to mention it perhaps on our social media, I think that might be a
that's wise. Thank you, Eddie. Yeah, I just wanted to note his passing.
Thank you.
Not
Anything
for me.
else? George Ray.
Nothing, but as we were talking ago, I thought of something that did cross my mind. In that capital report, they talked about needing software to record some of our domain knowledge. Do we have a plan for doing that? In the water capital report, they had said in the bit that they think we need to use software to start tracking our systems better.
Oh, we're actually using that software right now. It's a mapping software. We've already started doing that. So about all my guys a tablet, we go around, we come up on a fire hydrant. We actually go right on the screen, put all the input in about that fire hydrant, and it goes right to a JSI mapping program, and we keep the total history of all this stuff. So that's probably the program software we're talking about that we're going to continue with.
Just to answer maybe the question a little bit differently or with additional information. So the capital facilities plan, if it's in the capital facilities plan, you can recoup those costs through impact fees. If it's not in the capital facilities plan, you can't. So if that was an expenditure made this year, and you adopt the capital facilities plan this year, you should be able to.
I'm gonna, sorry, and I'm gonna look at the word really quick, that way, make sure I'm the same. I should have looked better, I apologize. Search off, no. Let me actually search it. Software.
Can I ask a question while he's looking?
Yeah.
Remember when we talked about the yield, the stop sign on Lloyd going down to that weird intersection, that we wanted a yield? Can it still be? Because what I heard was when it's all done, we change that to a yield. That would be nice.
Are you talking on Nichols?
No.
You know, I should talk about the way that that's happening in material.
Yes. Some
So
people like.
the yield sign south, but still have to stop for people coming up with it, right?
Or going south?
I think either way it could be a yield sign. I mean, some people, like someone that I heard, she just plows past it because she doesn't realize it's there, it's even a stop sign. I mean, people are getting used to it, but it would be nice if it was just a yield, if that's
Can it
possible.
be? Can you change that?
Let's discuss that one after. Is that all right? Did you find yours?
It is searching for the next page.
Can I move forward with the item?
Yes,
The
we
stop
can.
sign.
I expect it. I'm gonna just state that they're using the software and that was.
Yeah, yeah.
Just quick things. Bear Canyon Road could lose its stop sign now, so please feel free to use it somewhere else. Questions on Facebook about what's going on down at Nichols Park with the machinery that's down there right now? There's a digger down there or something.
On the trail?
Yeah.
You see,
There's a guy that's talked to Davis County about accessing his backyard
Okay.
and through the trail across to his backyard.
Okay.
It might be them just getting some rocks over there.
Okay. As long as they're not damaging our stuff, right?
Maybe our guys are down cleaning some stuff.
when was that there?
Wayne, are you down there playing some stuff?
Today? That was on Facebook today.
There may have been, there may have been some trees and stuff in the creek, and if there was, our guys went and pulled them out.
Okay.
So that's, it may have just been that.
Okay. When we used to have a biking strike on Mountain Road, is that gone forever?
It's coming back.
So I just, contacted a couple contractors to do some pricing on, painting 25 miles per hour in the lane. Some each direction, and then doing the bike with the arrow above it, which means it's kind of a double use lane.
Okay, so instead of.
So that is coming.
Arrow. Okay.
So I'm just trying to keep up with the new federal standards on how things can be.
So
For biking.
are we buying more 25-mile-per-hour lanes too that we can put up?
I still have some, I just have not gone to that, I'm trying a couple different things first.
Okay.
I've had contact with, Jacob, is his name, 3 or 4 times. And sent him documentation about stop sign, I've sent him documentation about a few things.
Okay.
That he's requested.
It just seems like putting up a couple more signs might help.
Yeah, I'm gonna try, I think if we do the 25 mile an hour on the road again,
Okay.
they're very visible, see them, see.
You just gotta.
Each one,
be
see
all the
them,
time.
just keep adding to it, so that's where we're at right now.
Okay. And on October 3rd at 5:30, which is council meeting night, we are having a citizen core council meeting and inviting our area coordinators and their +1. And we would also like to invite the council and mayor to attend this meeting as well as our staff that is representing emergency preparedness. And our city manager to a barbecue, and the city is going to be providing the hamburgers, and we're asking the other attendees to bring a salad and dessert, and hoping that we need to show some appreciation to our emergency preparedness. We're struggling keeping people involved, struggling to find new members, struggling to just stay relevant. And, it's funny, things become very relevant when something bad happens. Problem is, when something bad happens, if we don't have staff, we are in trouble. And so this is an attempt to kind of make things a little more relevant, and also help the council members get to know who's doing what in the Citizen Core Council, so that we all know it's spelled CORPS.
Thank you.
So 5:30, October 3rd, and Mary Monson is going to be the
Great,
Perfect.
thank you.
Also, thank you for the stop sign on Nichols Road. Hoorah, hoorah.
That's awesome.
So happy about that. Thank you for doing that.
Brad, do you have anything? Darren, do you have anything? Jacob?
I have one thing, just for you guys to know, our deputy recorder, Haley here, is heading up a project. She's gonna be cleaning up a whole bunch of records up at our shop. And in conjunction with that, we're going to have a shredded event. So this is an FYI for you. It's also gonna be opened up. We're gonna get a couple of trucks here. We're gonna open it up to residents as well. We're advertising social media. and a newsletter that there will be a shredded event, and that'll be on October 12th.
Cool. We haven't done that before. Anything else?
It's all thanks to Haley. Yeah.
Thanks, Haley. It's an awesome idea.
Food trucks, I don't know, food trucks.
Hey, we can get that. It's only 3 hours, so I'll let you know, but it's for real time.
Are you good?
That's it.
So one last thing, with the election process going in full force, I would just ask, as elected officials and staff members, the neutrality. I understand that we have some elected officials who are rerunning. I just want to publicly state that as an elected official, I don't want any perceived outwardly support for any one candidate over another. I don't feel like it's fair to have a good old boys club.
Especially staff, or on staff.
Yeah. We
Signs in the yards.
we have a single staff member who lives in the city, and I've talked to her, and she's been very good about it. So I just want to say that, not that I'm against or for anyone, I just want to make sure that this is a clean.
So we can't put signs in our yard?
As an elected official, probably you should not.
Or all of them.
All or none?
All or none, it's probably easier to say none. You can inwardly support, you can do everything you can, but I would ask you to avoid the perception of external support. Is that fair? I do too. I support them all. Since there's nothing else on the agenda, I would look for motion to adjourn. I have a motion from
I'll second that
from
also.
Diane. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye. Thank you.
8:51.
Thank you, staff, for so much work that you did.
I'm
Holy
so
moly.
sorry.